All right, continuing from right to left. In the last video, we did this hill here, the scene divider. We talked about it in the other video. So what I'm going to do now, while I'm waiting for some more super trees that are on order, is keep moving right to left. So this area here, between what's going to be a stream bed, some kind of a creek of some sort, with culverts and some cool stuff. So between that, all the way through here, up to the side of this, and kind of starting to go up the side of the hill here and into this brush, is going to be a big open field. And I'm going to do a switch stand, and I don't think I'm going to do a signal here, but maybe some kind of railroad shed or something with a little maybe gravelly path that kind of winds along the side of the hill here, kind of through that field. So I'm going to have some field on this side, kind of getting more and more brambly, and then just an open field this way. So that's my next thing to work on, but I'm going to try something different. I think I've talked about this, if any of y'all saw that upcoming projects video I did maybe late in the summer. I'm going to try to do this with teddy bear fur, and I've seen it on YouTube. I've seen the guys that make the wargaming thing, like scenes that they move the figures around on. They make these scenes that, you know, very similar to what we do in model railroading. So I've seen some of their videos, and I've seen a model railroader or two try it as well. So I thought I'd try that and share with you how that goes. All right, that's roughly the area it's going to be. I'm going to maybe work on this over on the bench, and once I glue it down, I'll come back along and trim off the excess here that's kind of over the side once it's all glued down. So I'm not going to worry about the fit exactly just yet. But now it's a matter of coming in and cutting this a lot shorter. Gosh, this is messy work. All that's just from cutting along the side here and this angle here. So it's a matter of trimming it and then painting it. Let's have an adventure. Well, that's all gonna need to dry. There's a decent amount of paint. That's the whole section. I came in and I cut a whole bunch back with scissors, brushed it, and then worked in the various greens and what was that? I'll show you the colors in just a second. My thinking is let that dry. And I mixed in a good amount of water too, just to kind of blend things around. So it might take a little while to dry, but once it does, my thought is to run, I got this, I have no idea where we got this. It's like a cat comb or something, I'm not sure. It was very firm. Those were like metal teeth, and they're spaced very closely together. So my thought is to brush this out once it's dry. And I mean, I think it's gonna look pretty good. Starting to look less and less like fur. I think as it dries, that'll help. And I want to come in and dry brush with some yellow ochre, and this is King's Gold, and maybe some raw umber mixed in there as well. The main green I used here was this English Ivy, but I also used these other ones. I started out in the palette, just grabbing with that big brush there, you know, grab a big bunch of it, put it down, grab some water, smear it all over the place, grab a different color, same thing, no real rhyme, no reason to it. And then after I did that and had sort of splotches all over the place, I took this comb and just ran it through it and pulled the color, you know, all through, mixing it up pretty good. But there are some, you know, there's some differences there. So I don't know. I've never done this before, but I'm encouraged so far. Yeah, we'll see how this looks as it's dry, and get some of that dry brushing in and see what it looks like. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. All right, just a quick note. There was some lighter green along in front here. Some pretty obvious striping where I'd grabbed paint and dragged it literally just horizontally. I've since added a little bit more, especially focusing on this English ivy green color. It's sort of my preferred color in there. So I added some more of that in here, a bunch more water, dragged it through, and let it dry overnight a second time. So now we're ready for the dry brush. All right, did some dry brushing. I think we're starting to get somewhere. I like the way that looks after the dry brushing. And I basically dry brush some tan and yellow sort of strawish type colors over the highest areas to simulate that look I was talking about in a previous video, where the undergrowth tends to be kind of green in these fields and the real long stuff is where you start getting those lighter colors. So I feel like this is getting somewhere, and probably a good base to add a whole bunch of other detail and stuff too. But I'll see how this looks. It's dry brush, so it's probably not all that wet, but I'm gonna let it sit, and I might lay it over on the layout and see what it looks like over there. All right, just to show you guys the colors I used on my palette for the dry brushing there. You can see mostly what I used was that khaki color. I'd occasionally cut it with yellow ochre just to make it a little bit more yellow. But as you look at the palette, you can see that's where I spent most of the time in those two. I'd occasionally pull in some of this Vallejo, what is it, beige brown for some of the darker areas. I really didn't use that at all. It was just too yellow. And the yellow ochre by itself was also a little more yellow than my liking. I was really going for that sort of straw color, which I feel like I got with yellow ochre and khaki mixed together, mostly khaki with a little hint of yellow ochre. All right, under layout lighting, I really like the look of the dry brush. It looks pretty good when you get down low like this. The issue, I don't think it looks that good from up here. Obviously, it's not glued in place, nothing's blended, etc. Lots of stuff to add, but yeah, I'm just not sure how to make. I mean, like I say, it looks really good when you get down low and look at it as if you're like at eye level, but up high, I just don't know. I'll keep messing with it. All right, made a little progress here. I've got the teddy bear fur glued down, and I've started working this area up here. I've got the switch stand in now and some gravel, and kind of brought the dirt and base scenery together there along the side of the track. And I used some clippers and some scissors and kind of ran this little gravel road through here. So kind of like I talked about in the first segment, just kind of hugging the bottom of this hill and heading on that way, just a little access point for the railroad. Yeah, I guess right-of-way crew or whomever to have access to this turnout here. And then this will just be a wild open field here in front of it. And one other note, just to kind of show you guys, it's most obvious looking at the backdrop from right about here. So on the left, you can see there's sort of an orangey glow to it. And on the right, it's much, more natural looking and blue. And what I've done, just, through trial and error and a little bit of reading here and there, if you look at these two, sort of you can see there on the wall and there, I've actually started switching LEDs from this warmer light that I prefer in my home, which is around 2700 Kelvin, which is, kind of like an incandescent bulb would look, moving over to this much higher Kelvin. These are 5000 Kelvin bulbs. They call it, daylight or natural light. And at first it's a little off-putting, but I tell you, on film, the layout looks a lot better with that lighting, which I have in the first 6 lights going all the way through Manchester here have now been switched over to those, not the one over there and the right there, starting there, those lights up there have all been moved to those 5,000 Kelvin lights. So the sky looks better to me. You know, like I showed you a minute ago, the scenery to me looks a little more natural now, and I don't get that orangey hue especially as I get in closer to it. In person, it looks okay. Interestingly, it must just be my own personal preference, but I brought both my sons and my wife into the layout room and said, what do you guys think? And all three unanimously right away like the more natural, cooler light, the higher Kelvin rating that I've got here. So I've left them in, and I guess it's I need to order some more bulbs for my lights and switch them over. You know, so it's that versus that, which to me, that's kind of how I like a room to look, but I don't think it's a realistic lighting for a layout versus the lighting over here. And again, right here on the backdrop is where you can see the light switch. Cool, you know, natural cool light on the right to the warm glow on the left. And yeah, I think, I guess I agree with them. It certainly looks better on film. And I'll get used to it. But they outvoted me. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all prefer the cool light also, or the more warm light like what you see over there? Let me know in the comments. Just a side note. And I'll be moving, you know, back to the field here. More to come. Well, this is what I've come up with so far on the large open field. I've been spending some time on this embankment here, kind of picking up where I left off in the last video with that darker stuff there and along there, coming towards us and to the left with other materials, and working it down into the edge of that teddy bear fur. Some of this is still wet, and then you put the wet water and the glue down. I need to rework that gravel lot a little bit, so I'll come back with some more ballast and gravel there. I need to work along the edge of the grass there, have it go from that to more sparse tufts and things as it works its way out away from the hill towards the track. But it's starting to take shape now, working in different textures, different hecky materials. There's some wild grass in there. There's also the leaf foliage. And then that white, I think I've talked about it in other videos. There's some right there, some right there. That's Polak white flowers, more wild grass, more of the Polak there, the white. And then I did a whole bunch of different textures kind of over the top of the field. A lot of that shake material, worked that in. I'm still working along the track here. I reballasted this area and added some more dirt on the near side of the track there. And that is a piece of mat right there that's not glued down. I just wanted to see what I thought of how it looked like that. So I may work some more over there, but I'd like to try to put a video out at least once a week, show what I'm working on. So even though this one's not quite done yet, I'm gonna go ahead and put this out now and keep working some of these textures together and adding detail. I've got a bunch of bushes and smaller trees and goodies like that I may mix in as well. So that's kind of how it's looking now, and I'm happy with how this is coming out. I think that's it's gonna work just fine, and it's a pretty nice big area, pretty inexpensive way to do it. Of course, you got to come in with some detail and things, but that'd be a pretty expensive mat, and I'm not that good at static grass, and one of the viewers pointed out last time my static grass gun may be a little underpowered for what I'm trying to do here, so this was a nice alternative method. And like I said, I just wanted to experiment and try something different, but I'm liking how it's turning out. So I'll leave you here. We'll come back next week with some more of this. Anyway, yeah, I hope all of y'all are well and safe. And if you like what you're seeing here, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. See you guys next week.